Right now, thousands of green card holders are making one silent mistake, and that mistake is quietly erasing everything they worked so hard to get. Before I tell you everything, quick question. Have you subscribed yet? Because what I'm about to share today could literally save your permanent residency. Hit that subscribe button real quick. I'll wait. Good. Now let's get into this. You worked for years to get that green card. Maybe you waited 5 years, maybe 10, maybe even longer. You went through the interviews, the paperwork, the stress, the money, the tears, and now you finally have it. You think you are safe. You think you are protected. But here's the truth that nobody is talking about enough in 2026. You can lose your green card without ever being arrested, without ever breaking the law, without ever doing anything on purpose. And it all comes down to one simple, silent mistake: staying away from the United States for too long. That is it. That is the number one mistake. Sounds simple, right? But here's the thing. It is way more complicated than most people think. And the rules in 2026 are being enforced more strictly than ever before. So stay with me here, because I am going to break down exactly what this means, what the real numbers are, what happens at the airport, and most importantly, how to protect yourself. Quick note before we go deeper. I'm sharing this information to help you understand what is happening. I am not your lawyer. Every situation is different. If you need personal advice for your specific case, please talk to a qualified immigration attorney. They can look at your exact situation and give you the right guidance. Okay, now let's get back to the important stuff. Let me explain what abandonment means. In immigration law, there is a word called abandonment. Abandonment means you gave up your home in the United States. When the government says you abandoned your permanent residency, they're saying you chose to live somewhere else. You chose to make another country your real home. And when that happens, your green card can be taken away. You can be sent back forever. Now here is what makes this so scary. You do not have to file any paperwork to abandon your green card. You do not have to sign anything. You do not have to tell anyone. It can just happen. Silently. While you're living your life, taking care of family, working, living abroad, and then one day you come back to the airport and a CBP officer, that is U.S. Customs and Border Protection, stops you and says your green card is no longer valid. That is the nightmare scenario. And it is happening to real people right now in 2026. So let me tell you the real rules, not the rumors, not what your cousin heard. The actual rules that CBP uses to decide if you abandoned your residency. The first number you need to know is 180 days. That is 6 months. If you leave the United States and you stay outside for more than 180 days in a row, something very important changes. The government now has the legal right to question you when you come back. They can stop you at the border or at the airport. They can take you to a room called secondary inspection, and they can ask you serious questions about where you really live. That 180-day mark, that 6-month mark, is when the red flag goes up. Are you still with me? Good, because this next part is even more critical. The second number you need to know is 365 days. That is 1 year. If you stay outside the United States for more than 1 year in a row, your green card automatically becomes invalid as a travel document. What does that mean? It means airlines might not even let you board a plane to come back. And even if you do get on the plane, when you arrive at U.S. Customs, you are in very serious trouble. The government now legally assumes you have abandoned your permanent residency. They assume you chose to leave, and the burden is on you to prove otherwise. I bet half of you haven't hit that like button yet. Go ahead. Click it right now. I'll wait. It helps more people find this information. And this is information that every green card holder needs. Okay, done? Good. Let's keep going. Now, let me explain something very important. The 6-month rule and the 1-year rule are not magic numbers that automatically protect you. This is where people get confused. A lot of people think, okay, I was gone 5 months and 20 days, so I am fine. Not necessarily. Here's the real truth. CBP officers look at the big picture. They look at your whole pattern of behavior. They ask themselves one main question. Does this person actually live in the United States? Or are they just visiting? If you are gone 5 months and then you come back for 2 weeks, and then you leave for 5 more months over and over again, that is a problem. Immigration courts have dealt with these cases before. They call it the touchstone rule. You cannot just touch down in the U.S. every few months to reset the clock. The government looks at where you really live, where your real life is, where your home, your job, your family, your bank accounts are. So let me give you a real example. Think about Maria. Maria got her green card in 2022. Her mother got very sick in Mexico in 2024. Maria went home to take care of her. She kept going back and forth. 4 months here, 3 months there, 2 months back in the U.S., 5 months in Mexico, never more than 6 months at a time. She thought she was safe. But when she applied for citizenship in 2025, USCIS looked at her travel history. They saw that she spent more time in Mexico than in the United States over 3 years. They questioned whether she ever really lived in the U.S. at all. She faced a major problem. She had to hire a lawyer. She had to fight for her status, all because she did not understand the full picture of the rule. Now here is the good news. And yes, there is very good news. You can protect yourself. There are real tools available to you. Let me walk you through them one by one. The first tool is called a re-entry permit. Think of it like a safety document for your green card. If you know in advance that you are going to be outside the United States for more than 6 months, maybe up to 2 years, you can apply for this before you leave. And I want to say that again, before you leave. You cannot apply for it once you are already outside the country. That is a very common mistake. So listen carefully here. To get a re-entry permit, you file what is called Form I-131 with USCIS. USCIS stands for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. The form is called Application for Travel Documents. You go to USCIS.gov, that is the official government website, and you search for I-131. You will see the form right there. It is free to navigate the website, but there is a filing fee when you submit the form. The re-entry permit, once approved, allows you to stay outside the United States for up to 2 years without your green card being automatically invalidated as a travel document. It is valid for 2 years. But here is something very important that many people do not know. The re-entry permit does not guarantee you keep your status. CBP can still question you when you come back. They can still ask whether you abandoned your residency. The permit just gives you extra protection. It shows that you planned ahead. It shows good faith. It tells the officer that you intended to come back. That intention is everything. Now here's another real example. Think about James. James got his green card through his employer in 2021. In 2024, his company sent him to work in Singapore for 18 months. Smart James, he applied for his re-entry permit before he left. He also kept his apartment in Houston. He kept filing U.S. taxes. He kept his U.S. bank account. His kids stayed in school in the U.S. with his wife. When he came back, CBP did ask him questions, but he had his re-entry permit. He had proof of his ties to the U.S. He was fine. He came in with no problems. Drop a comment below telling me your situation. I read every single comment, and I want to help you. Tell me where you're from, how long you have had your green card, and if you are worried about travel. Your comment might also help someone else in the same situation. Our community is strong when we help each other. Now, let me tell you about something that most people never think about. Taxes. Yes, I know. Nobody likes to hear the word taxes. But listen carefully because this is actually one of the most important things I'm going to tell you today. As a green card holder, the IRS, which is the U.S. tax authority, considers you a U.S. tax resident. That means you are required to file U.S. taxes every single year on your worldwide income. Not just money you made in the U.S., all the money you made anywhere in the world, even if you were living in another country, even if you paid taxes there too. Now, here is why this matters for your green card. If you stop filing U.S. taxes while you are living abroad, you are sending a very loud signal to the government. You are saying, by your actions, that you no longer live in the United States, that you are a non-resident. And immigration officers can use your failure to file taxes as evidence that you abandoned your permanent residency. One attorney I came across in my research described it this way: filing as a resident alien is one of the clearest ways to show you still intend to keep your green card. Not filing, or worse, filing as a non-resident, is one of the fastest ways to destroy your case. So even if you are abroad for a year, even if you're caring for a sick parent, even if you are working overseas, you must file your U.S. taxes every year. The deadline is normally April 15th for Americans abroad, and you can get an automatic extension to June 15th. You can file from anywhere in the world. You can even use a tax professional who specializes in Americans abroad. Just make sure it gets done. Now let me talk about what happens at the airport. This is where people really get scared, and I want to make sure you understand what to expect. When you land at a U.S. airport and you go through customs, CBP officers will scan your travel document and pull up your records. They can see every time you entered and left the United States, every single trip, every single date. They have all of this in their computer system. If they see a long absence or a pattern of spending more time abroad than in the U.S., they may ask you to step aside. They may take you to what is called secondary inspection. In secondary inspection, you will sit in a room and an officer will ask you detailed questions. Where do you live? What have you been doing abroad? Do you have a job in the U.S.? Where's your home? Where does your family live? These questions are not small talk. Your answers matter. Here's what you can do to prepare. Carry documents with you every time you return to the United States. Think about what proves you actually live there. Things like a lease agreement or mortgage statement showing your U.S. address, U.S. tax returns from recent years, bank statements from a U.S. bank account that shows regular activity, a U.S. driver's license, evidence of U.S. employment, school enrollment records for your children if they attend school in the U.S. These documents say, without you having to say a word, that the United States is your real home, that you just went abroad temporarily, that you always intended to come back. And now let me tell you about one more risk that catches many green card holders completely off guard. This is what I call the silent accumulation trap. Here's how it works. You take a 5-month trip, fine. Then 6 months later, you take another 4-month trip, fine. Then a year later, you take a 7-month trip. Uh-oh. Now immigration is looking at your file. They see that over 3 or 4 years, you have spent more time outside the US than inside. Even though no single trip was over a year, your pattern tells a story. The story says you do not really live in the United States. CBP officers are trained to look for this pattern. And in 2026, under the current administration, enforcement is tighter than it has been in years. Multiple news sources and immigration law organizations have confirmed that CBP is scrutinizing returning green card holders more carefully than before. The National Immigration Law Center reported in early 2026 that green card holders who have been outside the U.S. for more than 6 months are being stopped and questioned at increasing rates. This is not a scare tactic. This is what is happening right now. So what do you do if you are already in this situation? What if you have already been abroad too long? What if you are sitting outside the U.S. right now and worried? Listen, things are changing fast. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss my next video. I'm going to cover exactly what to do if you have already been outside for over a year without a re-entry permit. It is a separate topic, and it deserves its own full video. But I will tell you briefly right now, if you have been outside for over a year without a re-entry permit, you will need to apply at a U.S. embassy or consulate for something called an SB-1 visa. That stands for Special Immigrant Visa for a returning resident. You have to convince a consular officer that your absence was temporary and that circumstances beyond your control kept you away longer than planned. Things like a serious medical emergency, a death in the family, or some other major unexpected event. It is not easy to get this visa, but it is possible. And you absolutely need an immigration attorney to help you with this. Now let me bring this all together for you. Let me give you your 3 key takeaways from everything we covered today. Number 1, the most dangerous mistake you can make is staying outside the United States for more than 6 months at a time without careful planning. 6 months is when the red flags start. 1 year is when your green card becomes invalid as a travel document. But even shorter trips can be a problem if they show a pattern of living abroad. The rule is simple. Keep the United States as your real home. Sleep more nights in the US each year than in any other country. That is your safest strategy. Number 2, if you know you're going to be outside the United States for a long time, apply for a re-entry permit before you leave. File Form I-131 at USCIS.gov while you're still in the United States. Do it early. The processing time can take months. The permit gives you up to 2 years of protection for your travel document. And bring proof of your ties to the United States every time you come back through customs. Lease, taxes, bank account, license, carry it all. Number 3, never stop filing your U.S. taxes, even from abroad. Even if you think you do not owe any money, file as a U.S. resident. This one act tells the government every year that you are still a permanent resident of the United States. It is one of the most powerful things you can do to show you never abandoned your home here. You got through this whole video, and that tells me something about you. You are serious about protecting your status. You are not taking your green card for granted. You are doing the right thing by educating yourself. And that is exactly what will keep you safe. Not luck, knowledge. One more thing before you go. If this video helped you, please share it. Send it to a friend with a green card. Send it to a family member who travels a lot. Post it in a WhatsApp group or a Facebook community. Every single person who has a green card needs to know this information. And it is free to share. Hit that share button right now and be the person who helped someone else protect their future. And if you are not subscribed yet, please do it right now. I post new immigration updates every week. Things are moving fast in 2026, and you cannot afford to miss a single update. Click subscribe, click the bell, and I promise I will keep bringing you the clearest, most honest information I can find. In my next video, I'm going to talk about something that scares a lot of green card holders right now. What happens when CBP stops you at secondary inspection? What are your rights? What should you say? What should you never say? And what documents to always have ready? That video could literally save you at the airport. So make sure you are subscribed so you catch it the moment it drops. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting me with your time. And remember, you worked too hard for your green card to lose it to a mistake you did not even know you were making. Stay informed, stay protected, and I will see you in the next video.